exploring ancient Egyptian catacombs, a journey into the past. Ancient Egyptian catacombs stand as eerie yet fascinating portals to the past, offering a glimpse into a civilization that revered the afterlife as much as the present. Hidden beneath the sands, these subterranean tombs are more than just resting places. They are time capsules filled with sacred relics, intricate carvings, and whispers of a world long gone. The allure of these underground chambers lies not only in their architectural grandeur, but also in the mysteries they hold. From hidden passageways to secret burial chambers, each catacomb tells a story of power, devotion, and the eternal journey of the soul. Emerging primarily during the Greco-Roman period in Egypt, these burial sites reflect a blend of ancient Egyptian traditions with foreign influences. They served as the final resting places for nobles, priests, and even animals, particularly the sacred felines revered in Egyptian culture. More than mere tombs, they were meticulously crafted sanctuaries designed to ensure a smooth transition into the afterlife. As we journey into these shadowed depths, we uncover not just artifacts, but the very essence of ancient beliefs, rituals, and the enduring legacy of one of history's most enigmatic civilizations. Unveiling the chambers of the afterlife. Beneath the shifting sands of Egypt, labyrinthine catacombs stretch into the depths of history, designed with meticulous care to guide the dead into the afterlife. These subterranean burial sites were more than just resting places. They were sacred realms where the departed could embark on their eternal journey. The layout of an Egyptian catacomb. A typical catacomb followed a structured design, ensuring a secure and sacred resting place for the deceased. The entrance was often concealed to deter tomb robbers, leading to a deep vertical shaft that provided access to the chambers below. From this shaft, narrow corridors branched off, sometimes spanning multiple levels, connecting various burial chambers. Each chamber was carefully designed according to the status and wealth of the deceased. Nobles and priests were entombed in elaborate rooms, adorned with intricate carvings and vibrant paintings, while simpler burials were placed in smaller niches. Some catacombs even contained hidden doors or false passageways to mislead intruders and protect the sanctity of the tomb. Walls that speak, hieroglyphics, and artwork. The catacomb walls were more than mere stone. They were canvases for stories, painted in vivid hues of red, blue, and gold. Intricate hieroglyphics line the corridors, detailing sacred prayers and spells from the Book of the Dead, guiding the soul through the perilous trials of the afterlife. Scenes of gods and goddesses, celestial boats, and divine judgment adorn the chambers, each carefully placed to ensure the deceased's passage to the field of rites, paradise of eternal peace. One of the most striking features of these tombs was the depiction of Anubis, the jackal-headed god of mummification, overseeing the embalming process. Another recurring image was Osiris, the ruler of the afterlife, welcoming the departed into his domain. The famous weighing of the heart scene, in which the deceased's heart was weighed against the feather of Ma'at, truth and justice, symbolized the final judgment before entering the afterlife, symbolism, and the journey beyond. Every carving, statue, and painting within these catacombs held deep symbolic meaning. The scarab beetle, a frequent motif, represented rebirth and transformation, while the Eye of Horus symbolized protection and healing. Elaborate depictions of food, servants, and treasures reflected the Egyptian belief that the dead required earthly comforts, even in the afterlife. These catacombs were not merely tombs, they were gateways to eternity, meticulously crafted to ensure that the soul found its way to immortality. Each chamber, each carving, and each passageway whispered secrets of a civilization that saw death not as an end, but as the beginning of a grand celestial voyage. The rituals of the dead, a journey through time. The ancient Egyptians believed that death was not the end, but a transition into another realm, a journey that required careful preparation. At the heart of this preparation was mummification, a sacred ritual designed to preserve the body for eternity. Alongside the embalmed remains, tombs were filled with treasures, amulets, and everyday objects, ensuring the deceased had everything needed for a prosperous afterlife. The sacred art of mummification. Mummification was more than a funerary practice. It was a divine process rooted in the myth of Osiris, the god of the underworld, who was believed to have been the first to be embalmed. The process was carried out by highly trained priests who followed precise steps to prepare the deceased for eternity. 1. Purification and removal of organs. The body was washed and ritually purified. The brain was removed using specialized hooks through the nostrils, while the internal organs, except the heart, were carefully extracted and placed in canopic jars, each protected by a specific deity. 2. Desiccation with natron. The body was covered in natron, a natural salt, to dehydrate and preserve the flesh. This process lasted about 40 days. 3. Anointing and wrapping. After drying, the body was coated in fragrant oils and resins to prevent decay. Priests then wrapped the body in layers of linen bandages, often embedding protective amulets between the layers for spiritual safeguarding. 4. The final blessing. A sacred ritual known as the opening of the mouth ceremony was performed to restore the deceased's senses, allowing them to eat, speak, and see in the afterlife. Once mummified, the body was placed inside a series of nested coffins, the innermost often intricately painted or made of gold, and finally laid to rest in a sarcophagus within the tomb. Objects of eternity. The tomb's sacred offerings. Egyptian tombs were not simply burial sites. They were fully furnished homes designed to provide comfort and security in the afterlife. The deceased were buried with a wealth of items, each carrying deep symbolic meaning. Shapti figurines, small carved servant figures, believed to come to life in the afterlife and perform tasks on behalf of the deceased. Weapons and tools. Warriors and noblemen were often buried with their weapons, symbolizing their continued role in the next world. Jewelry and amulets. Precious gold necklaces, rings, and protective charms, such as the scarab of rebirth and the ankh, the symbol of life, ensured divine favor. Food and drink. Jars of wine, bread, honey, and fruits were stored in the tomb to nourish the soul in the afterlife. Scrolls of the Book of the Dead. A collection of spells and incantations, meticulously written on papyrus, guided the deceased through the trials of the underworld. For pharaohs and elite figures, their tombs were even grander, filled with chariots, furniture, and elaborate treasures, as seen in the spectacular burial of Tutankhamun. A journey beyond the veil. The combination of mummification, burial rituals, and sacred offerings was designed to ensure immortality. The ancient Egyptians believed that with the right preparations, the deceased would pass through the dangers of the underworld, stand before Osiris for judgment, and ultimately reach the field of reeds, a paradise mirroring life on earth, free of pain and suffering. These elaborate rites reveal a civilization deeply devoted to the afterlife, where death was merely a doorway to eternity that could only be crossed with faith, ritual, and the careful preservation of the body and soul. Guardians of the afterlife. The roles of priests and funerary officials. The journey to the afterlife was not undertaken alone. It was meticulously overseen by a dedicated class of priests and specialists who ensured that every step of the funerary rites was performed according to sacred traditions, from embalming the body to conducting final prayers. These individuals played crucial roles in preparing the deceased for their eternal journey. The high priests, keepers of sacred knowledge. At the heart of Egyptian funerary rites were the priests of Anubis, the jackal-headed god of mummification. These high-ranking religious figures were responsible for performing the most important ceremonies, including the opening of the mouth ritual, which restored the deceased's ability to see, speak, and eat in the afterlife. Dressed in leopard skins, a symbol of divine authority, these priests acted as intermediaries between the living and the gods, ensuring that the soul was properly prepared for its journey. The embalmers, masters of preservation. The embalmers were specialists skilled in the art of mummification. Working in the sacred house of purification, they meticulously preserved the body by extracting internal organs and storing them in canopic jars, drying the body with natron to halt decomposition, anointing the remains with oils and resins for spiritual and physical protection, wrapping the body in layers of linen, embedding protective amulets and spells. These embalmers were highly respected, but also feared, as they handled the deaden act that, in Egyptian belief, required strict purification rituals to avoid spiritual Mortuary priests. Voices of the departed. After the embalming process, mortuary priests took charge of the funerary service. They led the ritual procession to the tomb, chanting hymns and reciting spells from the Book of the Dead to protect the deceased from evil spirits. Their duties included burning incense to purify the tomb and guide the soul, offering food and drink to sustain the deceased in the afterlife, conducting daily prayers and sacrifices to maintain the spiritual well-being of the departed. Even after burial, mortuary priests continued their service by tending to tombs and performing ritual offerings on behalf of the deceased's family. Wealthy individuals often established mortuary endowments, ensuring that priests would care for their tombs for generations. The mourners, wailing women, and the ritual of grief. A crucial part of Egyptian funerals was the professional mourners, often women, who played the role of Isis and Nephthys, the goddesses who grieved for Osiris. These mourners, clad in blue, would wail and lament loudly, expressing sorrow on behalf of the family, tear their clothing and scatter dust on their heads, symbolizing deep mourning, lead the funeral procession, ensuring that the deceased received proper honors. Their cries were believed to awaken the gods and call upon divine forces to guide the soul safely into the afterlife. Tomb builders and artists, the architects of eternity. Though not directly involved in the rituals, stonecutters, architects, and artisans played an essential role in creating the tombs, hieroglyphics, and burial art that surrounded the deceased. They worked tirelessly to carve hieroglyphic prayers to protect the soul, murals of gods and sacred symbols, reinforcing the deceased's connection to the divine, false doors and hidden chambers, designed to confuse tomb robbers and ensure eternal rest. A collective effort toward immortality. The burial of an individual in ancient Egypt was a deeply communal and spiritual endeavor, involving priests, embalmers, mourners, and artisans, each fulfilling a role in ensuring the deceased's passage into eternity. These elaborate rituals reflect a civilization that viewed death not as an end, but as the beginning of a sacred journey beyond the mortal realm, beyond the tombs. A legacy of the past. The ancient Egyptian catacombs